Hello everyone, and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth. If you're over 40, perhaps wondering about the deeper meaning of life, you've come to the right place. We're going to be exploring a question that many of us have pondered at some point: if life is suffering, why live at all? It's a question that arises not from weakness, but from an honest assessment of the challenges we face. It's the voice of a soul that's ready to look beyond the surface and seek something truly meaningful. So, let's dive into what Buddhism has to say about this profound question. Buddhism offers a practical answer. And while you listen and think about it, if you are enjoying this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We will have many other videos on the doctrine that I know you would enjoy. Many people misunderstand the Buddhist concept of suffering. They hear, life is suffering, and imagine a pessimistic view, a life filled with only pain and despair. This couldn't be further from the truth. It's essential to understand that the Buddha wasn't trying to depress us. He was offering a clear-eyed perspective on the human condition. Think of him as a compassionate doctor making a diagnosis. A doctor who tells you that you have a fever isn't trying to make you feel worse. They're helping you understand what's happening so you can begin the healing process. The Buddha's teaching is similar. It's a careful, honest assessment, not a hopeless declaration. Now, the Buddhist word for suffering is Dukkha. It encompasses more than just physical pain. It refers to a deeper sense of unease and dissatisfaction that often accompanies us throughout life. Dukkha, this unease, has three distinct layers. The first layer is the most obvious: the pain of sickness, loss, failure, and the countless hardships that life throws our way. We all recognize these experiences as painful. The second layer is more subtle: the pain of change. Think about those happy moments you've had. The dream vacation, the start of a new relationship, or the feeling of success after achieving a long-term goal. These moments are fantastic, but they don't last forever, do they? That happiness slowly fades, or the passion in a relationship evolves into something different, or the newness of accomplishing a goal fades away. The fact that all good things eventually change, that too, is a form of dukkha. The happiness was genuine, but our natural desire to cling to it, that silent wish that it could last forever, creates an underlying tension, a low hum of anxiety that's always there. We quietly resist the impermanence of things, creating a subtle dissatisfaction. The deepest layer is perhaps the most insidious: the persistent feeling that something is missing even when everything seems fine. You might have a stable job, a loving family, good health, and yet, a sense of incompleteness lingers. It's like sitting on a chair that's slightly uneven. The chair isn't broken, you won't fall, but you can never fully relax. That subtle, restless feeling is the essence of dukkha. Now, if you like what you hear so far, like this video, or subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. Don't forget that. So, when the Buddha said, life is suffering, he wasn't criticizing life. He was simply describing life as it truly is. A life that naturally wobbles because everything is constantly changing. Here's where the big misunderstanding often happens. People hear this truth and think, if life is always wobbling, what's the point of trying? This is the crucial turning point where Buddhism offers profound insight. Buddhism isn't about giving up. It's precisely the opposite. It's about living with courage and wisdom in the midst of the wobble. Imagine a sailor facing a storm. A despairing sailor sees the storm and says, "There's nothing I can do." He lets go of the wheel, gives up, and allows the storm to destroy his boat. This is passive surrender. A wise sailor, on the other hand, sees the same storm. His first step is simple but powerful: acceptance. There is a storm. He doesn't waste energy getting angry at the sky. He doesn't succumb to despair. Because he accepts the reality of the storm, he can take action. He adjusts his sails. He grips the wheel firmly. He uses his understanding to navigate through the storm, instead of being destroyed by it. Accepting the natural wobble of life is the act of the wise sailor. It's not weakness, it's strength. It's the quiet courage to look at life honestly, not to drown in it, but to learn how to sail through it. It's about breathing deeply and finally choosing to stop fighting reality, and instead learning to move with it, skillfully, gently, bravely. Because only when we stop running from the truth can we see the map clearly and slowly find our way. Now, before we move on, please show the channel and me some love. Press that like or subscribe button now. If we can gently accept this natural wobble, this underlying current of dissatisfaction, the next question arises: why? Where does this wobble come from? Is life simply designed this way? Is it just bad luck? Or is something deeper happening? This is where the Buddha's teaching becomes revolutionary and empowering. He turns us away from blaming the outside world. The root cause of our suffering isn't hidden in our boss, our partner, our government, or in some cruel twist of fate. The root is much closer. It resides within our own minds. The Buddha said that deep within us lies a powerful thirst. He called it tanha, craving, clinging, a restless hunger for life to be different than it is. We crave pleasant experiences, desperately avoid unpleasant ones, and when things are finally good, we cling to them, begging them to never change. But this thirst is like drinking salt water. We take big gulps, believing that this time we'll finally be satisfied, only to find ourselves even thirstier. We chase after money, status, praise, and relationships, thinking, if I can just have this, I'll finally be happy. Sometimes, we do get what we want. For a brief moment, the thirst seems to vanish. But soon enough, it returns, stronger, louder, and more demanding. This endless cycle of craving and temporary relief keeps us restless. But how exactly does this craving take hold of us? It works through a very specific mechanism. We cling to a false idea of who we are. Imagine spending your whole life building a beautiful sandcastle right by the sea. This sandcastle is what you call me. It's your body, your success, your failures, your beliefs, your reputation, your memories. Deep down, you know the ocean is always there, and the waves will eventually come. You know this sandcastle is temporary. But you live as if it's a solid stone fortress that must be protected at all costs. This is where the real suffering begins. When someone casually says, "Your castle is a little small," it hurts, as if they've attacked you personally. When a small wave washes away a corner, you panic. That's the fear of aging, the shock of losing something you love. All the while, you carry this quiet, constant fear of the big wave, the wave of sickness, separation, or death that you know will eventually come. The waves themselves aren't the problem. The ocean simply does what oceans do. The pain comes from our clinging to the sandcastle, from the way we beg it to last forever when it was always meant to return to the sea. When our precious sandcastle is threatened, 3 toxic fires ignite inside us. The first is greed, the craving to build taller walls, to make the castle bigger, to gather more and more so we can feel safer. The second is anger, the frustration and fury we feel toward the waves, toward other people, toward anything that dares to touch what we're trying to protect. The third is delusion, the deep confusion, the stubborn refusal to accept the simple truth that the sandcastle was never meant to last. These 3 fires, greed, anger, and delusion, aren't random moods that come and go. They're the natural result of clinging to something fragile. They're the emotional smoke that rises from the fire of attachment. The problem isn't the ocean. The problem is our attachment to the sandcastle. Now, at the halfway point in this video, maybe this is the point when you're starting to understand what is being taught. If you are, go ahead and click that like button, or subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. So, if the problem is our clinging to the sandcastle, and the symptoms are these 3 toxic fires, greed, anger, and delusion, constantly burning inside us, it can all feel heavy. It's an honest diagnosis, but it's not easy to carry. This is precisely where the Buddha offered the most beautiful and life-changing promise. This is the turning point. After describing the problem and its cause, he shared the most essential truth: there is an end to this. The fires don't have to burn forever. Freedom is possible. This is the deepest hope that Buddhism offers. It doesn't simply point out what's wrong. It gently assures us that there's a path out of suffering. The Buddha didn't just leave us with the discomfort of seeing the fire, he showed us how to extinguish it. So, what is this freedom? What is this peaceful state? The word is nibbana, or nirvana, as it's often known. But just like the word suffering, the word nirvana is often misunderstood. Many imagine nirvana as a faraway heaven, a magical place we might reach after death. That's not what the Buddha was pointing to. The word nibbana simply means to extinguish, like blowing out the flame of a candle. So, what is being blown out? It's the three fires: greed, anger, and delusion. Imagine your mind as a room. For most of your life, the fires of craving, frustration, and confusion have been burning inside this room. The heat is exhausting. The smoke is blinding. You're constantly running in circles, trying to manage the flames, putting out small fires while new ones appear. You live in this constant state of tension without even realizing how tired you've become. Nibbana is what happens when the fires go out. What's left isn't a cold, empty space, it's the room itself, finally revealed. It's peaceful, cool, spacious, and clear. For the first time, you can truly see. The noise has settled, the smoke has cleared, and the exhausting heat has vanished. This isn't something mysterious or far away. This is the natural, quiet state of the mind when it's no longer on fire. And here's something truly important: nibbana isn't something you have to wait for after you die. It's a real, living possibility right here, right now. Every time you feel anger rising and choose not to act on it, you're gently touching the coolness of nibbana. Every time you notice a craving and let it pass without chasing it, you're tasting a moment of freedom. These small, precious moments aren't far from the final peace the Buddha spoke of. This is the true reward we've been searching for all along. It's not a place, it's not a prize, it's the simple, profound peace of no longer being consumed by our own minds. It's the quiet ending of an inner war we've been fighting for so long. The fact that this is possible, that freedom can begin right here, in this very life, is the reason to begin the journey. It's the reason to keep walking. It's the reason to truly live. Knowing there's an exit, a place of deep peace where the fires can go out, is a beautiful promise. It gives us hope. But the next question arises: that's wonderful, but how do I actually get there? Is there a path? Can I walk it? The answer is yes. The Buddha didn't just point to a peaceful destination and leave us to figure it out on our own. He offered a practical, step-by-step map to help us walk toward that freedom. This path isn't about blind faith or complicated rituals. It's a clear, gentle training for the mind. You can think of it as a complete workout program, a gym for the heart and mind. This program is called the Eightfold Path. We don't need to get lost in all 8 steps right now. For now, it's helpful to understand it as a training with 3 simple parts. The first part is about living ethically. This is the solid ground we need to stand on. It's beautifully simple: we do our best not to cause harm with our words or our actions. When we lie, steal, or speak with anger, we stir up chaos inside ourselves and in the people around us. It's very hard to find peace when we're constantly creating pain. So, the first step is to gently clean up our way of living so that our mind can begin to settle, like muddy water becoming clear. The second part is training the mind. This is the core workout. Just as we train our muscles at the gym, we need to gently train our attention. Our minds are naturally restless. They run to the past, to the future, to worries, to daydreams, without stopping. This training is about learning to bring our attention back, softly, to the present moment. One of the simplest and most powerful tools is the breath. Just feeling the natural rhythm of one breath, in and out, is like lifting a small weight for the mind. Over time, this builds the quiet strength of focus and calm. The third part is developing wisdom. This isn't about collecting ideas or memorizing philosophies. It's about learning to see the nature of your own mind. It's about gently watching your thoughts and emotions arise without getting swept away by them. For example, when anger appears, instead of becoming the anger, you begin to notice, anger has appeared. It feels hot. It tightens my chest. The moment you can observe the anger instead of being consumed by it, you're already a little freer. This is wisdom in action, the ability to see clearly without being trapped. But remember, if you are finding value in these teaching like this video, subscribe to the Wisdom and Wealth Doctrine channel. As soon as you begin this training, you'll quickly meet 5 familiar obstacles. The Buddha called them the 5 hindrances, but you can think of them as 5 uninvited guests that naturally show up when we try to calm the mind. The first is sensual desire, the craving for pleasant experiences and the resistance to discomfort. The second is ill will, irritation, resentment, and the tendency to push away what we don't like. The third is sloth and torpor, the heaviness of body and mind, making us dull, sleepy, or unmotivated. The fourth is restlessness and worry, the agitated mind that jumps around, worrying about the future or regretting the past. The fifth is doubt, the deep, paralyzing doubt that makes us question ourselves and the path. When these guests appear, you don't need to fight them or push them away. The real training is much gentler, simply notice their presence. You can quietly recognize, desire has arrived in my mind. Restlessness is here now. Doubt is present at this moment. You don't need to judge them, you don't need to argue with them. You simply see them clearly. As you stop feeding them with your energy and frustration, they slowly begin to lose their power. With time, they soften, and they often fade on their own. This is where we learn a quiet balance, the rhythm between gentle effort and peaceful letting go. The effort is the steady, honest work of noticing these 5 guests when they visit. The letting go is the kindness you offer yourself when you're not perfect, when the mind still gets distracted, when these guests stay longer than you would like. You walk the path with patience, with steady determination, and with a soft, understanding heart. This rhythm, the gentle discipline and the compassionate release, is the heart of the practice. It's not about fighting, it's about learning to see, learning to stay, and learning to soften. In this softening, real freedom begins to grow. Now, as we come to the end, please like the video if you haven't. And, you know what to do, please click the subscribe button as well. So, what really happens when you start walking this path? What is the true result of training your mind and learning to gently work with the hindrances that show up? You don't become a perfect, emotionless robot. That's a common misunderstanding. In fact, you become more fully human. The result isn't that you stop feeling, the result is that you're no longer controlled by your feelings. You move from being a victim of life to becoming the artist of your life. An artist doesn't get to choose all of their materials. Sometimes, life hands you dark, difficult colors, pain, loss, hardship. A victim would resist those colors, complain about them, and try to throw them away. But an artist learns to work with every color, even the darkest ones, to create something beautiful and meaningful. This is what it means to live wisely, to work with whatever life gives you and to quietly shape it into peace and understanding. This brings us to one of the deepest and most difficult questions: how does this path help someone facing extreme pain? The loss of a child, a terminal illness, a deep betrayal. Buddhism doesn't offer a magic pill that makes this pain disappear. It would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. The pain of great loss is real. It deserves to be seen, it deserves to be felt. What this path offers is something more honest and more powerful. It gives you the tools to be with the pain without being destroyed by it. Imagine your grief is like a crying baby. A panicked person might try to ignore the baby, scream at it to stop, or run away from it. This only makes things worse. A wise and compassionate person does something different. They simply pick up the crying baby, hold it gently, and sit with it. They don't need the crying to stop immediately, they just offer their calm, steady presence. This is what you learn to do with your own pain. You don't push it away, you don't feed it, and you don't fight it. You simply hold it. You offer it your mindful, compassionate attention, like holding a crying child in your arms, without judgment, without panic. In that gentle space of acceptance, something quietly changes. The pain may not vanish, but it no longer overwhelms you, it no longer defines you. It becomes something you can carry. You discover that you're bigger than your pain. When you lose someone you love, you may still feel sadness, but you also learn to hold that sadness with warmth. You remember the good moments, you learn the deep lesson of impermanence. You can even transform the pain into a powerful reminder to live more fully, to love more deeply, and to continue walking with greater compassion in their honor. So, let's return to our first question. If life has this built-in wobble, this dukkha, why live? The answer isn't a single destination. The answer is the journey itself. You live to learn, to understand your own mind, and to stop causing suffering for yourself and others. You live to transform, to take the raw materials of your life, both joy and sorrow, and turn them into wisdom and compassion. You live to be free, to free yourself from the grip of your old habits, from the prison of needing life to always go your way. You live to love, to offer peace, not just to yourself, but to everyone you meet. This isn't a passive path, it isn't a life of waiting and wishing. It's a path that requires courage, steady effort, and a deep, growing love for life in all its shapes and colors. It's the quiet, beautiful act of taking responsibility for the peace you bring into the world. This journey doesn't begin tomorrow, it doesn't begin when you're less busy. It begins right now, in this very moment, with your very next breath. And one last thing, before I go. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the Wisdom and Wealth Doctrine channel so that you do not miss a video in the future. Goodbye.